Hello and welcome to the second masterclass of the module Enseñanza de Ingles adultos. We are now in Unit 2, whose name is How Adults Learn Strategies for an Effective Teaching. So in this unit we focus on the different language skills. So you already know we have productive and receptive skills. So the productives are speaking and writing, while the receptives are listening and reading. Well, we focus on how, as teachers, we can develop these strategies for these skills in adult learners. We also focus on the typical activities we can use to enhance adults' interest and motivation in the classroom, and also on the typical lesson planning. Okay, so let's start. So first of all, before considering the typical activities we can use in a classroom, we have to focus on lesson planning. So what is a lesson planning? You already know from previous modules. So lesson plan is a sort of detailed outline of instructional activities and objective for a specific class session with a particular purpose, that this is that of giving structure, organization, and directions to the teaching process. And above all, in order to create effective lesson and ensuring learning goals are met. So, in poor words, what is a lesson plan? It's a sort of structure teachers may use when they organize their lesson. Obviously, what you plan is never what you really face in the classroom, but it's just to have an idea of what you have to focus on and the different steps you have to consider during the lesson. So you already know from previous models that we have 3 different kinds of lesson plans that are long-term planning, short-term planning, and planning for individual lesson. What is what? So long-term planning is what you plan, for example, for the whole semester. So something very general, but with specific topics that then you are going to develop better in each of the following parts. Then we have short-term planning, that is, for example, for what you plan for a week, for example. So to have an idea of what you're going to focus on each specific day of the classroom. And in the last one, planning for individual lesson, is the most used and is what you plan for each specific lesson. So now, how can we organize our lesson plan? Independently of the method we use for the lesson plan, we can say that it has 3 or 4 main parts that are preparation, presentation, application, and evaluation. Now, considering one of the best lesson plans that or method that you already know from previous module, that is the ESA lesson, remember that we have in that case the engage, the study, and the activate phase. So in the first one, that is the preparation or the engage phase, is what, as teachers, we have to present our students in order to engage, as a matter of fact, to interest them in the topic. So prepare the students for the lesson, for the things they are going to be taught. Then we have the second part, that is the presentation. In the presentation or the study phase is where we present the topic, the grammar concept, the vocabulary, with exercises, with videos, for example, etc. And this is the real part of the lesson. Then we have the next part, it is the application or the activate phase, where we give our students the possibility to put into practice what I've just learned into the lesson. And as teachers, this is something we need in order to understand if our explanation was clear, if our students were able to understand what we explained, and in case have to have other options in order to give them other ideas and help them understand better. Then we have the last phase, that is the evaluation. That is the immediate feedback that our students may have after this activate phase. So where we can give them the a sort of immediate retroalimentation of what they what it was not correct, and try to understand why they made a particular mistake. Okay. So this is in general, but remember that in this specific kind of lesson plan, that is the ESA lesson, the typical template you have for this lesson plan, it's something very specific and helpful for teachers, because apart from the different parts, engage, stage, and activate, study and activate, you also have the possibility to consider the time. How much time do you consider focusing on that particular part? Or so how much time you consider to focus on that particular part? Obviously, what you plan, as I said before, is never what you really have to face in the classroom, but just to have an idea and to be more prepared. And also, this specific kind of lesson plan gives you the possibility to focus on the learner objectives, the teacher's objectives, or what you want your students to be able to do by the end of the lesson, what you want to do during the lesson, and what are the possible problems your students may have, and how you as teacher can help them, can solve. So it gives you also the possibility to think about other activities, extra activities you may use, or also having, for example, extra links or extra exercise to give to faster students in order not to get them bored. Okay, so lesson planning is something fundamental for teachers. Even if obviously what you plan, what you decide to do, sometimes is always different from what you really face in the classroom, but it's just to have an idea, to be more organized. Okay, so now lesson planning is always the same, but when we plan for children, for adolescents, or for adult learners, obviously we have to consider what are the characteristics of each of these specific ages. Okay, so we said that with adult learners, what we have to focus on is a specific theory that is called andragogy. So andragogy is different from pedagogy, that on the other end is what the theory of teaching children and young adolescents, while andragogy, you already know the etymology of the word means to teach adults. And we have 6 main principles that are, as you can see here, need to know, motivation, orientation, self-directed, experience, and readiness to learn. So first of all, we have to consider that when we teach adults, we always have to focus on the main important principle, that is need to know. So to give our students the explanation of why they are learning a specific structure, a specific vocabulary. So try always to find something that is relevant for them. And also another important concept is that of experience. So they, as adults, obviously they have a lot of experience, and as teachers we have to consider to give them the possibility to put their experience in what they are learning. And obviously this may enhance their motivation in learning the language. Another important thing we have to consider is that differently from children and young adolescents, adult learners are self-directed. It means that they are autonomous in their learning. They don't want to be literally guided by the teacher, but they want to be autonomous actors and active actors of their own learning. So what we have to focus in our lesson plan when we plan for adults is to select clear objectives. So what they are going to learn and why they are going to learn those specific things. What are the uses they may have of that particular structure or vocabulary. Then we have the variety of activities related to the different learning styles. So we know that we have 3 main learning styles that are kinesthetic, visual, and auditory. So we have to focus on activities that may cover all the different learning styles in order to help our students give their best in their in the learning process. And also we have to consider that one of the main words, one of the key words when we teach adults is relevance. So we always have to consider that what we do, what we teach, has a real connection with real world. So it's something they may use in their daily life. So try to focus on engaging in real world activities. So just to summarize, we can say that a lesson plan for adults must be flexible in order to adapt to what they are our students' needs. Must be responsive, so have a specific aim, a specific purpose, and give directly to the point, to what our students need, and obviously meaningful. So have a meaning that we have to consider that what we teach as an immediate use in their daily lives. Okay, so let's continue. So we focus now on the specific topic of this master class, that is types of activities. So when we talk about activities, obviously we can consider in the digital world we live in the possibility of using both traditional and interactive activities. Now, why traditionals? Because when we teach adults, obviously they have their own background, and maybe traditional activities are things they are accustomed to, because they learn their native language and all the things they study in school with traditional activities. But they may be also interested in interactive activities, because remember that nowadays we live in a digital world. And if you remember from previous modules, for example that of teorías del aprendizaje, apart from the typical theories, learning theories such as behaviorism, constructivism, cognitivism, we also focused on connectivism. That is a new theory that was created more or less in the 2005, with the idea of explaining how people learn in a new digital age, not with traditional things, but with in the World Wide Web. So just outside the classroom, and the people themselves are part of the learning process, so they can interact with each other. Okay, so another important part to consider related to this kind of activities we use if we the way we plan the activity. So if individual, pair work, or group work. With adults, pair work and group work are the most effective, because we have to consider that they have a real connection in their daily lives with other people, and maybe what they are studying is something they need for their job, for their daily lives. So it's useful if they have the possibility to interact with others in the learning process, and obviously it's something that must be relevant for them, that has to have a specific purpose related to their personal interest. Okay, so now let's focus on pair and group work. So what are the positive aspects of pair and group work? So they foster supportive and cooperative learning environment. As a matter of fact, we give in this way the possibility to our students to connect, to share experiences, to share ideas. And we said that experience is an important part when we teach adults, because they have a lot of experience in their personal lives, and they can put this experience in the learning process. And obviously it also enhances the language learning, because they can share with other people, talk about, as a matter of fact, and again their personal experience, and use what they know about a specific topic in order to progress in the language learning. Okay, now let's focus on the traditional activities. We said that traditional activities are important because it's something our students, our adult students maybe are accustomed to. So we want to focus on this, but in a specific way, and sometimes try to find the entertaining aspect of it. Okay, so let's focus on, we have here 5 examples that are drill exercises, flashcards, reading comprehension, writing prompts, and role plays. So in drill exercise, you know from the previous module that drill exercise is something typical of the audiolingual method, which focused on the idea that students must have a perfect pronunciation, a perfect knowledge of the grammar. So it's important to have exercises like this in order to repeat again and again the same structure in order to be able to use then it in an optimal way. Well, we can use this as a sort of grammar exercise. As you can see here, we have, for example, for beginners with grammar, the difference between the indefinite article a and an. We always have the same structure. They know the rule, and they have now to apply the rule. Maybe it's something boring, but for adults is something useful, because we have to consider that adults maybe have a sort of old mental idea, so they are accustomed to what they studied when they were children, when they were teenagers, so they want to focus on specific grammar to have the they need to understand why they use a specific thing. Even if then we have to consider that the main reason for why adults are learning a language is because they need it. They need it for their job, their daily life. So what they really have to focus on is communication rather than grammar, but this is something important for them. Okay, then let's move to flashcards. Flashcards are something really important because, for example, above all with beginners, flashcards may help us as teachers showing and making our students understand the meaning of whatever can be grammar, vocabulary, etc., without using their native language. So forcing, in a sort of way, them to practice and to think in the target language, in this case English, and they can understand it better. Like, we can also have games related to flashcards, for example, in groups, a sort of taboo. So one student has one card, and the others just by making questions have to understand what is specific card they have, or where the specific action they are going to use, and so on. So as a matter of fact, we can use this in any kind of situation. Then let's move to the next one, that is reading comprehension. So reading comprehension is, as we said, one of the language skills that students have to develop. So reading comprehension obviously has to be focused on our student needs. So here we have a trip to New York. Imagine that we have a group of businessmen that need to travel for their job. So here it can be interesting for them to know about a specific part of the world, in this case New York. But if you focus on it, we have that they have to use this reading comprehension to focus on a specific grammar item, that is the past simple of the verb to be. So was, were, wasn't, it weren't. So we can use this, and at the same time we are developing their reading skills, and also giving them the possibility to practice the grammar, but in a more entertaining way, respect to what we did, for example, in the drill exercises. Sorry. Okay, here we are. Okay, and then we have just the last part, it is true-false questions. So we ask, in this way, we are asking them to focus more on the text, to use their critical thinking in order to understand for a specific information, okay? For specific information in general. Then we have writing prompts. So what we do with the reading comprehension can be associated to a writing task, for example. So for example, we can use what we did with the reading by giving them the possibility to explain, to use their experience once more in developing a written task. So, but in general, what is a writing prompt? So writing prompts are just ideas we can give our students in order to complete a particular task. Here, for example, we have what is your biggest regret, what has been your biggest achievement, and so on. So we give them just ideas in order to help them develop their writing skills. And we can also use this in a sort of storytelling, traditional storytelling. So we can ask our students, as teachers, we give just the introduction, and we ask our students to write, to continue the story, but by giving them some prompts, some specific items of grammar they have to use, or vocabulary they have to use in order to complete the sentence, okay? And then everything we did with reading comprehension and writing prompts can be transformed into a role plays. So we saw that role plays are one of the most effective activities we can have in general with any kind of students, but particularly with adults, because we say that adults need to see the immediate relevance of what they are studying in order to be motivated to continue. So role plays give students the possibility to put into practice what they've studied according to grammar or vocabulary in specific situations in their daily lives. Okay, so we have here, for example, depending on the reason why our students are learning language, and remember that when we teach adults are in general people who study the language because they want to, because they want to improve their personal lives, they want to improve their jobs. So they study because they want, they are not forced to. Okay, so they want to see that they can use the language in real world situations. So when we focus about role play, depending on the specific situation our students need the language for, we can focus on, for example, if they need it for travel, the airport situation, or the train station situation. So to focus, to give them the possibility to interact as if it was a real communication with some problems they may face in the particular aspects of their lives, okay? Or something related to a job interview, how they have to manage a job interview. So for example, one is the employer, the other one is the employee, and then there's what roles. So they have the possibility to see how the language they studied in the classroom, the grammar, the specific grammar they use can be used in a specific situation, okay? Okay, now let's move to the next part, that is interactive activities. So interactive activities are something that nowadays we all use, and independently of the age of our adult students, they may be also interested in developing their digital and interactive skills because they are parents or they are grandparents, so they want to have a more direct contact with their children or grandchildren. So in general, as for interactive activities, we can use, as you can see here, digital quizzes, virtual tours, online discussion forums, interactive storytelling, and language exchange. So related to digital quizzes, we have a big amount of possibilities. So just say about Kahoot, but we also have, for example, top worksheets. So a lot of activities in where we can ask our students to complete exercises, but not just writing them in a sort of also interactive way, like a Kahoot. So we can focus as teachers, we can focus on a specific item, a grammar or vocabulary, to see if our students have really understood the content, but they don't perceive it as an evaluation, but just as a sort of game or entertaining activity. Okay. Then we have another important part and really effective with adults, that is virtual tours. So now imagine this situation. Imagine that you teach a group of businessmen that are architects, for example. Okay, so as architects, they need to focus on something they need for their job. So maybe we can use these virtual tours to show them the different places around the world, or different buildings, and then use this particular part to focus on specific vocabulary they need to know for their job. Okay. Another possibility we have is with online discussion forums. So we can ask our students to participate in these discussion forums in order to exchange, to practice with the language in a way that is, we can say, not didactical. So we can ask them to practice what they've learned in the classroom outside of it. Okay. So they can have the possibility to talk with native speakers, to speakers from other countries, and to use language as a sort of lingua franca in order to understand each other. Another interesting activity is interactive storytelling. So storytelling is something we already talked about in the previous slide that was related to traditional activities. We can use storytelling again here as a sort of interactive way. So we can ask our students to complete a story as teachers we have created, but we can do in a sort of interactive and entertaining way. Now, considering that we have in both cases or a face-to-face lesson or an online lesson, we can use this interactive storytelling as a way of developing our students' imagination, critical thinking, and again, all the language skills. Okay. For example, we can use WhatsApp. Okay, we can create a WhatsApp group with our students, and then in this group, maybe we can share on the screen. We can share the screen in order that they can see what the other people are writing. So we can ask them to read what the teacher has written, and then in it can be alphabetical order. So each one of them has to complete the story with, for example, 2 lines. So in this way, we give them the possibility to improve the reading first, because they have to read what the other student has written in order to continue the story. We give them the possibility to practice their writing skills, because they have to consider that the story has to make sense. So they have to consider the different verbs or words or situations the other students have developed, and also their thinking skills, because they have to think, they have to use their previous knowledge, they have to use the vocabulary and the grammar they have already learned in order to continue. And then we can ask them to read all together and to focus on some maybe mistakes they made. Now, related to mistakes, remember that obviously as learners it's obvious to make mistakes. What we have to make our students in general, but above all with our adult students, understand is that mistake is part of the learning process. So they make them understand that it's not a problem if they make mistakes. So mistakes are part of the learning, so it's okay, and they have to focus, and they did not have to consider this is a failure, but just as a way of learning better, of understanding better. Okay. Now we have another specific part that we can use, this exercise, this language exchange. Language exchange, and specific this particular, we can say, sort of application website, Tandem, is what most universities have. So the possibility of connecting with students of other places in the world and teach each other the native language. So Spanish, you can teach Spanish to an English speaker and ask the English speaker to teach you English, and so on. So it's a direct exchange of the language, direct communication, where you're not under the pressure of demonstrating what you know in the new language, but at the same, but demonstrating your native language, okay, and have this mutual experience, this mutual interchange, okay, exchange. Okay, so now, in general, these are the activities we can use. There are a lot more, but I consider that these 5 for each are the most useful and maybe the easiest one you can use in a classroom. Okay, so now, said this, we have to focus on, we said that we have a lot of kind of activities, but which activity is the correct and in which part of the lesson? And again, is that particular activity good for beginner students or intermediate or advanced students? So this is something that we always have to consider before starting with our lesson planning. So as you can see here, what as teachers we have to consider is this question: what is best for the students? So what I want to do, is it okay for my students? Are they able to understand? Is the activity interesting for them, and so on? So the first thing we have to consider is this: learners' interests, goals, and obviously the level they have. In order to create effective activities that, as we said, have to focus on their direct interests, so what they need for their daily life. So remember that with adults we always have this main word that is relevance. So something relevant is something that they can perceive as a real meaning, as a real purpose in their life, in their immediate life. So this also gives them the possibility to engage more into the learning process and obviously to reach this learning efficiency. Then we have also to consider when we teach, when we create activities, to provide opportunities for real language application. So what I said before, related, for example, to the virtual tours or role plays, so to give them the possibility to use the language in situations they may face in their real daily lives, okay? So they know how to manage particular situations. Obviously, all these things give us the possibility to create and to give our students the possibility to have this holistic language development. What is this? It considers 3 main processes that are biological, cognitive, and social emotional. Now, the biological is related to the physical change. For example, the brain development, the brain changes that adults are experiment during their lives. Also, depending on the age of our students, imagine that we teach to 60 or 65, 70-year-old students. So this brain development, the brain change it happens day by day. Then we have the cognitive. Cognitive has to do with has to deal with the intelligence, their inner process, or something. Also the the learning styles they may have, and the ability to understand. Now, remember what we said before, that it's not that adults don't have the possibility to learn a language, but sometimes, depending also on the age they have, the process of learning is lower if compared to children or adolescents. And also there is the social emotional part that is the main important part for adults, considering that they have to focus on what their emotions are, and obviously it's related also to their motivation, why they are learning the language and what they want the language to give them. Okay, so this is everything for this lesson. So now let's see what you have to do as task. So your assignment is to use the forum you find in the VIA platform. You have to choose one of these activities we discussed about. You have to expand your research and describe how it would benefit adult English learner. When you have finished this, remember that you have also to reply to one of your classmates. But when you reply, it's not just saying, okay, I agree with you, but giving your personal opinion. Do it critically, okay? So, hope that everything is fine, and so thank you, the presentation is finished, and thank you for your attention. See you.